Well, it is Monday, June 29th, and this is your Hope Update. I started a new book this weekend. The book is called The Relevance of Religion. It's written by Jack Danforth, former U.S. Senator from the great state of Missouri. Now, Danforth is an interesting guy. He went through Yale and he got both a divinity degree and a law degree because he felt called into these two different realms, into the church and also into politics. And he wasn't sure what to do. He actually talks about this in the first part of his book, whether he should be an Episcopal priest or a politician. And he made the decision to go into politics, but he was ordained as an Episcopal priest and has kind of served in dual roles throughout his entire career, which makes him a very interesting figure. Now, I actually know Jack Danforth. I've had some personal experience with him, and I can tell you he is the real deal. He is a man of sincere faith in Jesus, and he's also been a really faithful politician over the course of his career. And so I take a natural interest in him and this book, this subject, because I care about both. I care about politics and I care about religion. What's interesting to me already in reading this book is that Danforth talks about essentially how we've made politics into an idol in America. And that's part of the gridlock that we're experiencing in our political system. That's part of where politics is broken, that we've made politics into some sort of idol, hoping that it can do things that it really isn't equipped to do. And he spends some time in his book talking about what politics are really for, how Madison and other founders really saw the political system balancing different interests from a very diverse nation. Our nation has become even more diverse, and so there are more interests. But he takes a really humble assessment in the book about how really the work of politics can't change a whole lot. And that's humble coming from a guy who devoted his professional life primarily to the political world, not to professional church work. That politics cannot do things that we think they can do. And so part of our upset, part of our energy, part of our anger, all of the passion that we pour into the political world, he argues, is a little bit misguided, which presents a pretty compelling thought for us, a compelling case for change. He says in his book that real change is culture change, that politics doesn't have the power to do. Politics can't change, it can change laws, and maybe that changes culture or changes people's attitudes, but really if you're going to change culture, the only way you can change culture, he says, is by changing people's hearts. And so he makes a compelling argument really early on in this book that if we're going to change the culture, then that's the realm of the church. That's the realm of Christians. That is the realm of faith. Only the gospel, and I've said this for a long time, only the gospel can change things. And that's something that we as Christians know deep down. The law never changes anything. The law restrains behavior. Paul says the law actually increases trespass. The law just makes more lawbreakers. So the more laws we write as a society, then the more people we're going to lock away in prison. That's all that laws can do. And that's frankly the realm of politics, to make laws and to enforce laws. But here's what we have in our corner. And this is why, man, it's so dangerous to make politics in any kind of idol, that the gospel has the ability to change people's hearts. It reminds me of what Romans 1 says. Romans 1, you probably know these words. Paul says, "For I am not ashamed of the gospel, because it is the power of God that brings salvation to everyone who believes, first to the Jew, then to the Gentile." Pretty big statement there. The gospel is the power of God that brings salvation to everybody. But notice what Paul says. He says, first for the Jew, then to the Gentile. This idea that the gospel is so powerful that it what's the word I'm looking for? It transcends, that's the word. It transcends racial identity. Jew and Gentile, those are different racial identities. It transcends religious identity. It transcends political borders, that Jews were under different kings and laws than Gentiles were. And Paul says there is this one power that transcends all of those dividing lines that is a true power. So here's the thing. That's what I'm so encouraged just reading this book. I'm so encouraged by that in this day where we're talking so much about power, and we're talking about speaking truth to power, and we're talking about, hey, we need to have those in power wake up, and we're talking about the power of the people and the power of the vote, and we talk about power as if power, true power, lies in the political realm. And there is power there, of course, but that's not true power. We as Christians know this, that true power is the power of the gospel. Because the power of the gospel, it transcends everything. It has the power to influence human hearts, no matter what your tribe or race or political party, or even which kingdom or nation you affiliate with. Ultimate power is the power of the gospel. It's a power that we possess. It's a power that can really change people's hearts. It can change culture. It can change worldviews. It has changed the world. And that's our greatest hope for changing the world. So today, pretty simply, the hope that I want to leave you with is that as we get frustrated as a nation, as a world, as we see the gridlock, as we see that Washington is broken, which is an assessment that Jack Danforth would agree with and does agree with in this book, we don't have to fall into despair over these things. As we get frustrated with how the political system appears to be broken, you know what, that's okay. The political system wasn't designed to fix all of the world's problems. But in our hands as people of faith, we hold the solution. We hold true power that can change the world. And it's the simple gospel of Jesus Christ that is simple in substance, but I mean, amazingly complex and powerful in its effect. So what I would want to encourage you to do, for everyone listening to this, watching this right now, is I'd want to encourage you to start to rethink the hope, the energy, the passion that you put into politics, because it really cannot do all the things that you believe it can do. And I'd encourage you instead to put your hope, to put your energy, to put your passion back into the gospel, which means tell somebody about Jesus. Share Jesus with people. Look for ways to love your neighbor, which is the heart of the gospel, to love God and to love your neighbor as yourself. Truly, when we share Jesus, when we share the gospel with people, that is a recipe to change hearts, and that is what has changed nations. That's what's changed our world, and that's where our power is found to keep our nation moving forward in a positive way. That's all I got to say today. If you want to read this book, it's a great book. I picked it up cheap on Amazon, The Relevance of Religion by Jack Danforth. Again, he's a credible figure, someone I really admire. If you need some help kind of rethinking your political thoughts or just need some encouragement, it's a very hopeful book. But along the way, know where true power is. You hold it in your hands. You hold it in your voice. It is the power of the gospel. To that end, this weekend here at Pathfinder, and even if Pathfinder's not your church home, I want to encourage you to do this. We will participate in something called Neighborhood Walk Weekend. It's a weekend where we don't come to church. Instead, we listen to a short message on our stream, and then we go out and we take a walk. And we do so with others or on our own. And when we're walking, this is all we do. We don't hold up signs. We don't evangelize people. We simply pray for God's favor to come to everything that we see. And so as we walk and we see different things, we just pray and ask God to bless and to move. And it's powerful. Again, the power of the gospel, that's what changes nations. That's what changes the world. So I want to invite you to take a walk this weekend, anytime this weekend. You can use our short stream message service to help you with that. Or you can just go take a walk. But let's get our minds right about where true power is. And let's get our hearts centered on what really has the power to change the world. Let's put our hope in the right place. It is not in the political process. It is not in a political party. It is not in political reform. It is not in any political leader. It is in the person of Jesus and what his gospel does to every human heart where it takes root. Hope that gives you hope. God bless.